Hey, good morning, guys. I am Tamil Selvan Bharati. It is August 27th. It's early in the morning at 7:45 a.m. I'm about to start my dog walk and let's chat a little bit. It's really monologue, but you guys can communicate back to me by your comments. Yesterday, I talked about some sudden cardiac arrest, and then today I'm going to continue the topic and we'll talk about some, CPR, brain death and stuff like that. And so beautiful morning and beautiful sun out there coming. Can you see it between those tree branches? It's a wonderful ambience. The temperature is good. And let me tell my, Siri, Apple Watch. Hey Siri, start outdoor workout.
Starting your workout.
I love this. I don't know what I would do without Siri or hey Google. Hey Koki, come. Because my other dog, Coke. There she is. So all the three of us, we have started on our journey. Our goal is to burn, at least few hundred calories, maybe a 4-mile walk. So, hey guys, so yesterday I said the thing about, sudden cardiac arrest. That's a sad thing that, actually, let me flip the camera. Sad thing that happens to some of us, Hey, so we hear people talk about heart attacks. We hear people talk about heart failure. We hear that somebody just passed away, they just suddenly died. Cardiovascular death is the leading cause of death throughout the world. Okay, let me flip the camera. It's good to see these dogs. They're all so happy. And I'll also flip again and I'll show you my leash setup. I got these leash. And then I only have 2 of them today, and one of them is connected to a divider, so it becomes 2. So with these 2 leash and the divider, I chain all my 3 dogs. Typically I just walk a little bit unleashed. This is all just acreage area, so there's nobody here. And then once I go to the regular neighborhood, just in about 3/4 of a mile, I put them on the leash. So anyway, so the heart, has the main function of the heart is to really pump blood, right? So it takes in blood, and it pumps it out. And the pumping action, the systole, it pumps, and the average heart rate is what, 70 beats per minute. And by the way, guys, and this is not by any means scholarly talk. Okay, this is just simple talk. Just generic talk. I'm not trying to teach anything here. I'm just using my dog walk time to talk about some common things in our life, some interesting things, and then draw your attention. And many of you might like this. You may not like this, and if you don't like this, you don't have to watch it. But interesting stuff. This keeps our life going, and we all learn from each other. From your comments that you put, I learn from you. And then this might stimulate you to go read about something, Google it, go to Wikipedia. Further reading is always required, okay? We all need that. So, and then we learn from each other. So, the heart pumps blood, and, it pumps, let's say 70 times a minute. And each time when it pumps, that's a stroke. Hey, look at the deer. Let me show you the deer. It's running around. There's a white-tailed deer. Let me try to zoom. Oh, it has ran away somewhere. Anyway, it's gone into the creek. We all need these creeks and rivers, because have you noticed everything organic, everything biological, it happens around rivers from the ancient times. That's a source of water. Water keeps it all going, water and sun. Now flip the camera back again so that I can talk about the heart. My God, the sun is so beautiful right behind me. And it's hitting my skin, and I can just feel it making all the vitamin D inside my skin. Let me get Icy, because as always I've said, Icy lags behind all of us, and he's such a lazy boy. Icy! I had to go back in search of him. Icy! I don't even know where he is. This is a daily thing for me. Half the time, when I look at my walking data, after I've done it, when I come back home, the Apple Watch transmits all the data to my Apple iPhone, and then when I look at my walking data on the map, Apple map, it'll show that I walked forward and then I walked backward. I walked forward, I walked backward. And that backward is all because of the single guy I see. I see! And most of the time what has happened is he just went on sniffing some stuff. Some other dog's poop somewhere yesterday or something. And did you guys know that dogs leave messages in their pee and poop? That's how they communicate. So, you know, and then he just sniffs it. And then he keeps reading the messages, and I think he also responds back to those messages. I see! I don't even know where he is. Oh my God. And I wish I could talk dog languages. See, look at this. Coke, she always comes back looking for me. She says, why did he go back? And so she comes back. But Pepe, you know, she's very independent minded. So Pepsi is not even anywhere to be found because she's ahead of us and she's gone somewhere. I see! Oh my God. I can't find him anywhere. I guess I just need to go, you know, continue my walk and forget about Icy. But then what will happen is, you know, he'll just lag behind me and he'll just come back and he'll be running towards me eventually. Icy! So I've called him. There he is. Look at this stupid fellow. He's coming back from the bush. Icy, why do you do this to me every day? Stupid fellow, Icy. Why do you do this to me? Go in front of me. Cookie, you go in front of me too. I adore you, Cookie. And finally Pepsi shows up. You know, this is just fantastic. This releases so much of endorphins in my body. It keeps me happy, guys. All these 3 dogs and this beautiful walk. I hope you guys do it too. It's healthy. Okay, now talking about the heart back again. Okay, so the heart pumps, and do you guys know how much the heart pumps with each beat? You know, systole is the beating action, stroke, you know, and then diastole is when it relaxes, and when it relaxes, it is just taking blood back again in. And then in the heart, you know, you got the right ventricle and right atrium. So there are 4 chambers, right? Right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and left ventricle. Hey guys, one more time I'm saying this, okay? If this is too basic for you, you know, again, the disclaimer, I'm not trying to teach anything majorly, just general discussion, things that comes to my mind at the time when I'm walking, and if you like it, just listen to it. Otherwise, don't think I'm treating you like a baby or something. I'm not, you know. It is good to really just think about these aloud. So 4 chambers in the heart. On the right-sided, you know, chambers, the goal of that is to circulate blood into the lungs. Okay, so the right ventricle pumps blood into the lungs, and then the lungs oxygenate the blood. So again, see, Icy is back. Icy! Man, he's making me go back again. Stupid fellow. Look at the beautiful sun, guys. And let me zoom in. Because as I said the other day, I'm trying to learn zooming into, you know, in this DJI. Man, I still don't know how to do it. You know, okay, let me unzoom. Okay, finally Icy is here. My pack is complete. We are a pack of 4 people. 1 human and 3 dogs. Okay, so the heart, you know, so 4 chambers, right? Right-sided chamber, they pump blood into the lungs, and lungs oxygenate the blood. And then from there it goes to the left atrium. So the left atrial blood, it's full of oxygen. And then that pumps it into the left ventricle. And typically the difference between the atrium and ventricle is that ventricles are the, you know, powerful ones. They, you know, have a lot more muscle mass. Atrium is just a little, you know, they don't have much of a meat at all. When I say meat, you know, muscles. So anyway, left ventricle is the most important chamber of your heart, and then that pumps blood, you know, against your blood pressure. It generates blood pressure, but it also pumps against it, because blood pressure is a component of how strong your heart pumps, and then also the peripheral vascular resistance. So, and then, you know, the left ventricle blood perfuses all the organs in the body. And then with each beat, the left ventricle pumps anywhere from 50 to 100 cc of blood. Okay, that's it. Can you believe that? Just, you know, 2 ounces. So in tablespoon, I think 1 tablespoon is considered 1 ounce, right? So just 2 tablespoons worth of blood, that's it. Let me flip the camera again to me. Yeah, I just worry about the sun bothering you guys. That's why, anyway, I think I'll keep this view like this. So, you know, So you get about 50 cc of blood with the, each stroke. And then if the heart is beating 70 times a minute, of course, obviously, when you're relaxing, when you're sleeping, the stroke volume will be low. And when you're exercising and when you're running around, then a lot more blood is pumped. But when the heart pumps at a high heart rate, hey, Pepe, 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 come here. Okay, I have to do this, guys. Let me flip this because this is my neighbor's house, and look at those neighbor's dog. And let me try to zoom in. The neighbor, Pepe, come here. Anyway, so let me flip the camera again. I shouldn't flip it in my zoomed state, I think. So let me flip it. Pepe, come here. Icy always comes to the party at the last time. Okay, so I don't know how to unzoom this. Sorry about all this. I'm just learning. So when the heart is just pumping too fast, let's say you're running, you're jogging, and your heart rate is 140, then obviously that high heart rate, it doesn't even have much time to really fill with blood. So then your end diastolic volume, the amount that you can really fill, gets lower, but that's compensated by the high heart rate. Okay, so that's some basics. And then when the pump fails, when the heart is just not able to pump very good, then that is heart failure. And then you start huffing and puffing when you try to do some exertional activity. Let me unzoom. I think it's still in zoomed state. Yeah, there I go. Okay, so then that is heart failure. And then when people end up with pacemaker and stuff like that, that's a different reason. But that's because your electrical activity within the heart is just not working good. You start having pauses. You have blocks, what we call as AV blocks. Or bradycardia, where the heart is just too slow. If your heart is just, beating only at 30 times a minute, then that's not good enough for you to be upright and wandering around, because a lot of those people start having fainting spells. They just faint. And then once you put a, pacemaker, then that works good, and then their heart is back again beating at 60 times or 70 times a minute. So that's the electrical activity of the heart. The mechanical activity of the heart is just the pumping function itself. So you should at least pump like 55-60%. If your heart got, let's say, during end diastolic volume, when it's totally relaxed, if you got 120 milliliters of blood, and then it contracts, then it should pump, let's say it pumps, 60, 70 cc of blood. Then that's, like in 120, if you pump 60 out, that is 50% contractile. That's a little low, but 55-60%, that's good. So, and for some people, if the pump, because of previous heart attacks, if it can't pump good, if the muscle is very weak, then it only, let's say, pumps only 30%, 20%, stuff like that. Then instead of 2 ounce of, instead of 2 ounce, 60 cc of blood coming out of the heart, now you got only 30 cc coming out, and that's not enough to circulate your blood. So then those people, they get short-winded. And then sudden cardiac arrest, eventually, the heart just stops. That is death, Like that is asystole, where the heart, when you connect it to a monitor, let me call Icy, because I had to do this again, because this stupid fellow, so lazy. Icy! I don't know if you see him. There is a beautiful sun, and underneath that sun, Icy is just he's slow running, stupid fellow. Anyway, so the heart, let me flip the camera again, or maybe we'll wait until Icy joins us. So, when the heart doesn't show any electrical activity at all on the monitor, that's called as asystole. So that's flatlining, in TV movies, television shows, and Pepsi, stop! Because Pepsi is way ahead of me. Icy, come. So they usually show somebody flatlining, where it just flatlines and then they just show it like a death. Okay, so that's one condition where you wouldn't feel any pulse at all. When you feel the pulse, no pulse, because there is no heart contractile activity. And then there is ventricular fibrillation, where your heart is just fibrillating when you can imagine. It is just contracting so fast, 300, 400, 500 times a minute, and then it's contracting so fast that it didn't even collect any blood with each relaxation, because it never even relaxed. It is just contracting high rate of contraction. So it didn't even relax to get any blood inside it to pump it out. So what happens is that is ventricular fibrillation. And then in that condition also, there is no pulse. When you feel, there is no pulse. So, those patients are fibrillating. So that's where the automatic defibrillator comes into place. Okay, so nowadays, in the United States, like any shops, Walmart, inside the planes, they all have an automatic defibrillator. AED, that's what they call them, automatic or automated external defibrillator. Because there are internal defibrillators, which nowadays, when they put the pacemaker, many times they put a defibrillator also. That's pacemaker defibrillator combination. It's all in one unit, and they put it on the left side of the chest, so they implant it. So that is internal defibrillator. And the ones that they have in the shops anywhere nowadays, like swimming pool, YMCA, when you go there, schools, planes, work environment, everybody buys an automatic external defibrillator. They stock them, they keep them charged, and they keep them ready. So those defibrillators, when you connect them to somebody that died, in your opinion, like when somebody faints, or when they suddenly become unresponsive, in your work environment or in your family, and when you feel their pulse and there is no pulse, and you might think, oh, they're dead, but they're not, guys, because there are two things here. One is clinical death, where in the olden days we'll say like, oh, there is no pulse, they're dead. That clinical death. But then there is brain death, where the brain has just died, and that typically takes several minutes after they become pulseless. Because when they become pulseless, you have to remember the heart could still be working. It could be fibrillating. Or even if it flatlined, if it's an asystole, which means it's flatline, still, you can bring it back to life. Just epinephrine, when you push IV, adrenaline, that's what they call it in the British world, and Americans, we call it as epinephrine. Epi. Hey, nurse, give 1 ampule epinephrine IV. In the past, we used to give him intracardiac, directly into the heart muscles. But nowadays, we don't do that. We just give it IV, and then that can really just jumpstart the heart, and it starts working. But ventricular fibrillation, in the past, we would thump the chest. Just give a big thump on the chest. But nowadays, they don't recommend that. I think in the latest ACLS protocol. So no heart thumping, but you just, defibrillate it with an AED, and it's such a simple thing. When you defibrillate and when you see the heart just stop fibrillating and then comes back to normal sinus rhythm, it is such an amazing feeling, because what you've done is you just saved a life. But then, typically that is done by the EMS, emergency medical professionals. When they do it, they're the ones who do it, but you can start CPR at your own home, okay? You have to do it. When you find somebody pulseless, start CPR, start chest compression. And it's amazing how in the past we would say like, hey, start CPR. But nowadays, the term is different. We say like high quality CPR, because there's no point in just doing CPR and, doing a sloppy compression on the chest, because that doesn't circulate blood at all. So you need to compress really good. You need to go 2-inch deep. And when you do that, then, your hand is on the sternum, you're compressing 2-inch deep. Of course, you might be breaking a bunch of ribs and the sternal bone. You might really break that. But remember your ulterior goal. You're trying to save a life here. And then the broken ribs and all that will, heal. But for that to happen, you need to get the life back. So, start doing good quality compressions. And you need to compress at least 2-inch deep. 2-inch deep, you need to compress like 100 to 120 times a minute. Okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So there are ways by which you can keep track of how many compressions you're doing. Just check on the YouTube. There are a lot of CPR videos. And then you need to give like once in every 30 compressions, you need to give a couple of breaths. And the breaths also, in the past we would say like give a lot of breath. There'll be an ambu bag and then you push a lot of air. But nowadays they say like you don't even need to do that, because when you push a lot of air, you're pushing a lot of air, sometimes it goes through the foot pipe, it goes into your stomach, and people can throw up later, and then they can aspirate, or it can go into your lungs, too much air. And then if there is too much air, remember guys, the thoracic, your chest real estate, has these two major organs, your heart and lung. And then when you fill your lungs with so much of air, then even if you're doing compressions, the heart doesn't have much space. I mean, you can't have much of venous return coming back because the lung is all filled up with air, so that's taken all the space. So blood doesn't return back, and if blood doesn't return back, then what kind of a CPR are you doing? You're compressing, but there is not much of a blood coming back into the heart to pick up the oxygen from the lungs and circulate it to the brain. Mainly the goal of during CPR, the main thing is to try to somehow keep the brain working. Other organs, they follow the suit later, but the brain is the most important thing. Anyway guys, so today I think if you just start thinking about CPR and how life-saving it is, at the end of this video, and then if you go watch some YouTube videos about CPR and learn about it and become aware of it, and if somebody at your home become pulseless, and if you start CPR immediately, then, and if you did that after watching my video and got some ideas and got educated about it, then I would consider it the greatest success of this video. Okay, it's always nice connecting with you through these videos. Dog walk talk, that's what I call it. But good talking to you today, and see you tomorrow on another video. Okay, goodbye.